Hi, it's Justina here from Flight of the Phoenix Holistic Therapy. I felt called to record this podcast today because I have been unpacking some of my patterns of avoidance and raging, and I wanted to share it because I felt it was really good process and it can be replicated by anybody who struggles with the same things. So what brought this on? Recent lunar eclipse on the 7th of September 2025, I had a lot of feelings of self-loathing and hatred towards myself and my worthiness. It all really came out really heavy. Um, and I really wanted to basically I've been triggered and I wanted to unpack why is this coming up? Why is that? Because it haven't been coming up for me for quite some time. It's you know, I felt really comfortable with myself, pretty confident in myself, and for some reason, those emotions of self-loathing and self-hatred came out for me quite strongly. The idea that anything I touch is just falling into pieces and I'm not good in anything. I think I've been triggered on jujitsu class because it's really hard for me to do it. You know, jujitsu is an art. I mean, I'm practicing two styles, BJJ and North Star Jiu-Jitsu, which is like Japanese Jiu-Jitsu. Um, and yeah, I find myself struggling with well, kind of attacking people, throwing people, or being thrown on the floor, which I guess is natural, but it's triggered something in me that I just can't do it, and other people can. And why is this so hard for me? And that would be just one example. There would be others where, like for my business, I would record a intro and outro, and it would take me hours of work, and then I would do a mistake and I would just really beat myself up that I'm stupid, I'm dumb, why can't I do this shit? Like, why is this so hard? And then spending hours on editing and then re-recording next day, and all those situations stirred those emotions in me. And my way of coping with those emotions was to avoid them, run away from them, and like it's a twofold way. So one way is I avoid. So let's say I will stop working and I will go and read a book, or I will daydream about possibilities of who I could be, like hiding under um, ideas of manifestations and creation of my future self, not really enjoying the present. I don't want to be in present. I'm running away, I'm escaping, I'm numbing myself. And then the other uh, pattern I discovered was that I'm raging. So it's something I brought from my home when I was growing up. So I feel pain inside. I want to lash it out. I want to take it out. And therefore, I make the closest to me suffer, as in, I want them to feel the same pain. So I will say something almost making them feel that it's their fault what I'm feeling, going into victimhood, that I'm precious because I've been through so much and you haven't, and you don't understand. It's harder for me trying to justify and explain to myself and reason with myself, um, and then hurting the closest people to me, because I want them to feel the pain, which gives me a relief, that explosion of taking out the emotion, uh, giving me the release, which is a temporary release and illusion that if I scream loud enough and I will make people see me and hear me, then something will change. But it won't, because the issue is not outside of me. The issue is within me. The pain is mine and it comes from me. So now I need to go into myself and face those emotions and what are those emotions. So I asked myself questions. There are several questions I ask myself, and I will share those questions with you here later on in this video. Uh, and I answered those questions, and they help me pinpoint what am I feeling before. So what is that feeling that I have before I go into my avoidance or my lashing out state. So the feelings are I'm overwhelmed, I'm scared, it's too much, I'm uncomfortable, and I feel like that, and everything is a struggle. So I discovered, okay, these are the emotions I'm dealing with. My coping mechanisms are avoidance, numbing myself, or lashing out, raging out on somebody I love and care for. And then that gives me a relief. That relief is temporary because then I go into self-loathing and self-hatred and shame because I'm hurting the person that I care for. That makes me feel that I'm a bad human, bad person, and I don't deserve to be here, which creates this spiral of desperation, despair, depression. Yes, it's very deep. And then those questions that I've asked myself help me discover that, okay, who is talking in me? Like, whose rage is it? Whose pain is it? And it's usually we identify as inner child, but it's not just inner child. It's the pain of inner child, of my teenager, and of my young adult. So, as a child, I felt helpless. My needs weren't met, and I didn't feel I'm important. When I was teenager, I was craving freedom. I wanted to get out, but I was stuck in the family dynamics I was in because I still wasn't able to earn or run away. As a young adult, I ran away. I found freedom, but I replayed the patterns from my entire childhood and felt unworthy and not enough. So these versions of me are screaming at me that we hate this struggle, we hate this discomfort, we don't like to feel scared and unstable, insecure, because that's what we always felt like in our life. Why are we keep doing this? And then with the self-questioning, I realized that all the paths I've chosen were my choice. So as adult self, I am reassuring both all my versions of myself, my younger child, my teenager, and my young adult, that we're walking this path of discomfort and fear because we want to grow. For me, the growth is the most important thing. And to grow is to put yourself in discomfort, to The best idea I can give you here is I'm Libra, but I'm Scorpio rising and um, moon. Scorpio sign is, and I'm not a tarot reader or astrologist, but it's transformation, death, rebirth, um, tower moments, um, chaos, um, learning through pain. So it's within me and within my character or maybe DNA or birth chart that I seek naturally um, situations in which I will get the most growth. And those moments are uncomfortable and bring fears up. But at the same time, as adult self, I say to myself, I do this because I can take it, because I can do it. I'm strong enough. I can face this. I'm interested in growth. I'm interested in chaos. I want to see what's underneath. This is what the meaning of life is for me. The feeling intensity, I don't want to be numb. I want to feel fully both pain and pleasure, the joy and sadness. Um, the dark and light, the duality of everything. Um, that's what life is about for me. So when I then put myself in this position of an adult, that it is my choice that we walking this path, that we decided to create our own business, that we decided, and I'm saying we because there's many of us in here, um, many versions of us. We have decided to walk this path, and the growth doesn't come easy. It comes with repetition, but it mostly comes with ex exposing yourself to different things that are not within your normal belief system or not in your normal comfort zone, so you can expand your perspective. Not everybody can walk this path. I have decided to do that, to face myself, to face my fears, to be uncomfortable. Nobody's forcing me to go to jiu-jitsu class after a history of being sexually or physically abused. I am doing it myself to face myself, and it brings up emotions and triggers and pain. But when you get rewarded with a belt or with a stripe, it's the most gratifying moment of your life. It's enjoyable. It's like I had tears of joy when it happened. So, so this was beautiful insight I had over this full moon kind of week, because hopefully it made me realize that okay, we cannot just avoid, we cannot just keep lashing out. I mean, it's not a regular thing for me, but it happens because it's I'm coming back to my patterns despite all my knowledge. The healing never ends, but this insight helped me understand that let's just reframe it. Let's just come back to ourselves and recognize that the pain is within us. It's not outside of us, and we have chosen um, certain circumstances. I mean, I've chosen whatever. I'm giving you an example here. I'm not saying that you chose to have a cancer, or you chose to be in an accident, or you chose to be cheated on. It's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is I chose my path and it brings me discomfort, but it brings me growth as well and experience, because we all here to experience different types of emotions. and different perspectives. So I'm grateful for that, but I need to anchor myself when those feelings happen. So I have asked myself all those questions, which I'm going to share shortly. And then there was a question about what anchor could I use. And my husband bought me this necklace. It's what is this called? Cora, I think Cora. Coral. So it's New Zealand coral jade necklace. And it actually means new beginnings and growth, and what else it means? Purity and new life. Um, but it doesn't matter what it means. What matters is that this can be my anchor. So I will choose when I feel overwhelmed, when I feel scared, when I'm coming back into my teenager inner child or young adult, and those moments of survival patterns, I can then grab it and say to myself, I have chosen this and I can choose to stay or go. This is my choice, and therefore I'm empowered here. I'm in charge here. No one else made me to do this. And I think it's important for healing to recognize that we are in charge of our emotions in our life. It doesn't happen to us. It's of course we can control it or predict it, and some things are outside of our circumstances, outside of our control. But we choose the path and we choose to deal the consequences of this path, and that makes me feel expansive, tall, brave, and strong, rather than going down into despair, victimhood, and why is this happening to me? So I think it was really good insight, and it's cool that it's you know coming out finally, even though we so aware of ourselves in our healing journey, but still you keep discovering layers, and it's just beautiful. So I'm very proud of myself that it's happened. But let's share the questions. So I'm gonna read them to you because I don't remember all of them. So question number one was, when you feel the urge to avoid, by distracting yourself, numbing, or fantasizing, what emotions or sensations usually comes right before that? So that's question number one. Question number two, what feels most overwhelming or frightening about staying with the emotion instead of escaping it? So what would happen if you actually stayed with the emotion, named it, give it a color, a sound, a texture, temperature? What would happen if you stayed with it, and what happens when you escape from it? That is a big question, and most of us run away. The next question, when you feel helpless, powerless, or unable to fix things, whose voice or presence from your past does it remind you of? So for me, it was well, I remembered myself, my younger child self, my teenager self, my adult self. That I was in situations where I couldn't get out, where it wasn't my choice, because I was a child. I was not an adult. Now, next question. Do you notice yourself stepping more into one parent's pattern, or does it shift between them too? So whose pattern you're replaying? For me, it was I felt my father and my mother, but I really embodied my mother pattern of behavior because it was more action orientated. It was more doing. So lashing out is action, whereas my dad would be more stuck and silence. Then we have next question. When you step into this old pattern, what part of you is being protected in that moment? So for me, it was my inner child. I was protecting my child here. I was protecting myself from being hurt, from the pain I'm feeling, because the pain is so intense. It's hard to describe it with words. Yeah. So try with colors or visions or something else, whatever works for you. The next question, what does the anger, rage, or withdrawal try to shield you from feeling directly? What is the underlying emotion underneath the rage, the anger, the withdrawal? What is the root cause? For me, it's helplessness, feeling vulnerable, feeling weak, feeling unsafe. Next question. After acting out the pattern, what temporary relief or payoff do you notice in your body or mind? Yeah, that's a good question. After acting out the pattern, what temporary relief or payoff do you notice in your body or mind? So for me, and I don't know if I mentioned it, when I lash out and hurt another person, the payoff is that I think if I scream louder and I'm more visible, then the change will occur. There is this illusion that something will change if I will be seen, but it doesn't, because the change needs to happen here, not outside of me. The next one. What's the illusion your pattern tries to sell you? So I just described mine. What is it for you? What deeper truth do you sense beneath that illusion? For me, it was the pain is inside, it's not outside of me. If your suffering could speak, what would it say it needs or wants right now? That's a good one, because what do I need? I need to be, which lashing out can for me come with. It's like my suffering wants to be seen, wants to be witnessed, wants to be shared. I want to share my pain. I want you to feel my pain so you can understand how it feels for me. Because I'm very tactile, it actually is hard for me sometimes to describe the enormity of what I'm feeling inside. And I want it to be shared. Yes, that's good insight as well, which is not good for the person I'm sharing it with, I guess. Okay, so that's was that. Da, 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 da. Hmm. When you hear that voice inside, does it sound like your current self or your younger version of you? So, like I said, for me, it was my child, my teen, and my adult self speaking. There is so much talk about inner child healing, but what about the teenager? What about the young adult? Our brain doesn't develop till we're like 25, and I'm sure there is a difference depending what life circumstances you had. So all that is a learning process, learning stage. Yeah, at least that's how I see it. Yeah, I definitely didn't consider myself an adult when I was, in my young 20s, even though I maybe needed to be, but I don't think I was. To be honest, I don't really feel it now either. Um, if you could sit with your younger self, what would you want to say as a safe, loving witness instead of a judge? So how would your self-compassion work um like what would you say to your friend, to your pet? Can you say it to yourself rather than be judgmental and critic, but be more loving, compassionate? And then we're shifting into compassion. How does your body feel when you speak to yourself with compassion compared to when you lash out or collapse into shame? For me, there is a difference. When I lash out, there is tightness, there is like this feeling of I just want to hide under the ground, disappear. But when I'm compassionate, I'm like warm, expansive, have shiver, tingling in my body. What reminder or truth helps you access that compassionate, taller version of yourself in the moment of a trigger? What reminder or truth helps you access that compassionate, taller version of yourself? So for me, the reminder was I have chosen this path. I have chosen to have life I have. That makes me feel taller, stronger because I was in charge. Nobody made that decision for me. So that makes me feel good. And then final, what symbol, gesture, or mantra could you use to anchor yourself when the pattern rises? So for me, I am using this necklace. If I lose it, I will use something else. But it's just the feeling of overwhelm, of fear, of feeling helpless. I will catch it and I will remind myself, come back to yourself rather than lash out or numb. And then final question, how can you invite loved ones to support you in the new response instead of fearing the old one? So this is where I have the most shame around, which is when I lash out, let's say on my husband, I feel like after that he has to walk around me like on the eggshells. I don't want anyone to feel like that around me. I don't want to be a burden, or not a burden because that's another pattern, isn't it? I don't want to make people change themselves or reduce themselves, make themselves smaller so I can feel bigger. Rather, I want them to believe in me that I can actually do it because the strength is within me. It's my actions, my um, self-discovery, my strength that is going to take me out of this situation or pattern. It's not him. I'm not expecting him to fix me, to make it better for me. It's not what I want because it's disempowering. Then he unknowingly will take my power away and I will my pattern would be to give it to him. And why should I do that? No, this is not healthy. The healthy response is for him to believe that I can pull myself out of this. And this is what I would like, the belief that I'm not weak, of victimizing myself, but rather I'm the strong one that chose the path. And sometimes the consequences or the um, fears that we face will bring up strong emotions, and that is the part of life. We can't run away from them. We can't just hide and pretend um, that everything is pretty and beautiful, you know. So that is, yeah, I feel that was very healing session for me. I hope this video will resonate and will help you to uncover your pattern with, if you have a pattern of avoidance or lashing out, raging, like myself. And those questions, you can always pause if I'm going too fast with them. Yes, I hope that was useful. So thank you very much for listening. If you liked it, you can share it, you can press the like button, you can subscribe, and all the good stuff. So thank you very much for listening. Bye bye.